Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
You know, I love a good documentary, and sometimes it's true crime. 9 times out of 10, it's true crime. But I do watch documentaries, okay? I watched one just yesterday about the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni fiasco, you know, just to try to understand it better because it is nuts. And so I did understand it a little bit better. It seems like a big feud between two people who have a lot of money. And it seems like both of them are a little bit in the wrong. Yeah. Really, at the end of the day.
3 people, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds is definitely involved, for sure. But anyway, I bring it up because, you know, Murphy and I are married. I watch a little more TV than Murphy does. And so every once in a while, he'll come to me and go, do you want to watch something together? It was like Saturday night. Do you want to do something together?
Yeah, I just wanted to do that. You know?
And I've got all these things in my brain on repeat of things that I want to watch, or I have some saved in my brain that he and I should watch together. Yeah. But I was coming up blank. And then I thought, maybe I should test him out on a little true crime because it's my assumption that you're a little too sensitive for it. You're a tender-hearted man.
I am. I have, ever since I was a kid, I got drawn into TV emotionally. So, yes, if it winds up being too hard, it's just not it doesn't wind up being my thing.
So, Sam,
but it was an interesting Saturday night.
I decided to try out some true crime on Murphy.
Which one?
So, here's what's up. I want you to understand why I chose this. Number one, I thought he would care about this story. You know, being the dad of young ladies. Mm-hmm. It's newer. It's newish. It's not the Zodiac thing from the 70s.
Well, I followed this one when it was actually in the news a couple of years ago.
And the storytelling is so compelling because there's so much footage of it's not just people hearsay. This
right.
It was the Gabby Petito documentary.
I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Gentleman was slapping the girl.
Okay, you said it's a white van? Kind of looks like something like hitting you in the face.
So, yeah, this is a story that actually, I remember following the news as it was happening.
You can't know everything until you,
no, you can't. But you know what's crazy about it is, you know, like probably most of Americans, as the story unfolded in the news, you'd already kind of made up your mind what had actually happened. Mm-hmm. And of course,
it didn't seem
that's
right.
what actually happened. Yeah. You know, what was her boyfriend's name now?
Brian.
It was the one who killed her, and but going through the story and the 3 episodes, which I'm glad they're relatively short episodes.
Yeah, that was a short one.
Well, here's what surprised me about Murphy. Murphy, if we're watching anything and it's episodes, he's one episode and good. You know, let's pick up another episode tomorrow. He's not that much of a binger. So it's Saturday night we started, and I think this is going to last us for a couple of days. We watched all 3 episodes back to back per Murphy's request.
Yeah, but I mean, it was night. It was right before bed, which is probably a mistake watching that one before going to bed, you know. But the reason for watching that one back to back is it really is to me more like a long movie. It's one story that happens to be, it's not really separate episodes in my head. It's one story, and I wanted to see it from beginning to end. That's what a documentary, is. And you're
really
right, Jodi. It's extremely well made. Look, to me, today's documentaries, or even like those in the last 5 years, are probably more well told than ever before. I don't know if it's because there's more footage, but it's always the perfect combination of the interviews. You know, I'm not much on the whole reenactments thing, but of course the Gabby Petito one, because she was on this road trip and she wanted to launch her YouTube channel. Most of the video is the video that she shot herself. Mm-hmm. What I was not aware of, though, getting through towards the end, is how the final discovery and puzzle pieces were put together by the FBI from another van living couple, another couple doing the same thing that happened to catch it on their dash cam, just driving along.
It's an example of technology and this super connected world we live in being a good thing. It's not always good, but it is sometimes.
Yeah. So, for me, the story is obviously a very difficult story, that in itself. But once they got into how the FBI was able to triangulate all the data, between cell phone calls, and they knew that Brian had faked, his own stuff after Gabby had already passed. And
that stuff infuriated Sam too. I remember talking to you about it when we first watched it. I say that, and we didn't watch it together. You watched it the same weekend I did.
Well, I was infuriated by him and also his parents.
His parents just, It's
Yeah, I know.
hard to understand
Once
that
you start
behavior.
to realize what communication was going on between the two of them,
Yeah.
and that body cam footage and all that, and the thing is, that body cam footage is what brought it to the forefront. I know that there are thousands of missing people every day that need, and they certainly deserve attention. But Jodi and I were talking about that also. Because of the uniqueness of this story and the fact there was so much footage released by the police department before the crime was solved, it was like a lightning rod for, it went viral, just like any other piece of, of video.
The world saw her on that video, and him, but saw her in distress.
Yes.
And hearing 2 days before that, she had been missing is different than seeing her in distress days before she went missing.
As its own cry for help.
Right.
Really.
It brought us all into it.
Mm-hmm.
And, to me, the reason that I really wanted Phoebe our youngest daughter, Phoebe, and Taylor, I wanted our daughters to watch it. Taylor has not yet, Phoebe has, is the same conversation you and I had afterward. It's like when you're a young person and you are truly in love, you almost think that that's your only shot.
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I have to fight for this and stay for this. And it's not true. It's just not true. And I can remember feeling that way when the first time I was in real love. Like, okay, well, this is it. I'll put up with anything because, and I'm not saying that's where exactly her head was, but it needs to be a conversation after watching it.
Oh,
because
yeah,
she did
absolutely,
love him, and she did know that some of this stuff was wrong, and he did isolate her.
Yeah.
He isolated her. That was on purpose.
Yeah. The other part of it, even though there are certainly a lot of frustrating things to watch as the story's told about mistakes that were made along the way in the investigation and so forth, it's really easy to be a critic once the puzzle pieces have already been put together.
Yes.
And I mean, it's almost impossible for anybody to defend something because if you had been in the same situation before the puzzle pieces had come together, you might have made the same mistakes.
Yeah.
There are unanswered questions. They didn't have a body to be able to to arrest or put a warrant out.
That's
for
my thing. Why
Brian's
not bring
arrest.
him in for questioning?
Right.
When you know he's in the house and the parents said he's in the house, bring him in. But Murphy's, we had all these conversations. You were like, they didn't have a body.
Yeah, that's and it didn't occur to me until I was watching that. I realized that's kind of deep, but it's the truth. We watch a series and we pass a judgment on it, but the series or the documentaries the puzzle pieces have been put together.
Yeah.
All the
By the
hard work.
time.
It's been edited and everything down to something you can digest.
But that's not what I mean necessarily. I'm talking about the investigation's puzzle pieces.
Oh.
If we had all been, in which actually we were, because the first thing that was out was body cam before anything else was ever known. I guess what I'm saying is criticism of law enforcement or others, and again, I know mistakes are made, but I do believe that when it comes to crimes being solved like this, everybody's trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
Before the puzzle pieces come together, it's impossible to do some of the things that some of the critics after the fact, said in the Gabby Petito case. Because again, once it's already been solved, you weren't part of the solution, part of it. It's very easy to pass judgment on those who actually were working the case before all the answers were actually there.
Yeah.
And so I tell myself that just for my own criticism, because I caught myself going, how? And then you realize, okay, wait. This is how. I mean,
Right.
It's unfortunate, and I hated it. And, trying to go to bed right after that, well, that was
I'm
tough.
sorry. That's what I said. I think you're a little sensitive
okay.
for it. One
Right.
of the hardest things for many of us, and one of the most criticized parts of it, was that traffic stop where the police made the decision to send him to a hotel for the night for domestic violence victims and put her in the van. And a lot of us were like, what?
Yeah.
But then again, we weren't in that situation. We weren't those officers. Officers are human beings too and can make mistakes. And I remember thinking, she did tell them I was the instigator here, and he did have marks on him. I don't think she did, although she looked freaked out and he didn't.
Well,
she looked scared.
Yeah, and like Sam was saying just a second ago, pieces of that, though, were certainly edited and kind of put together out of order to tell the story. I would love to know, because I'm sure that's a decision that law enforcement struggles with or has to deal with every day. Domestic disputes, they're handling all the time. There's a process, there's a protocol. So for somebody who actually, is in law enforcement or maybe a specialist in that area who specializes in, domestic abuse as a counselor or what have you. I would love to know their thoughts on that particular moment in time of, how that was handled. Should it have been done differently or not? Because I know that most people are outraged. It's like, okay, wait, he got to go to the hotel and she drove the vehicle and what?
And they got together anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think this is, it's a really good documentary, but I don't think it's the last one. A documentary can be made in many, many times. There are a lot of subject matter, like how many has OJ had?
Yeah.
There may be more about the Gabby Petito story than we know, but I also felt like I knew the family, her family.
Yeah.
She had, 4 incredible parents, and I felt like I knew them. I felt like I could be them.
Yeah.
And that was one reason it was also so well done. But no more, Murphy, for you.
No,
I won't do that to you anymore.
Look, I can watch them, just probably not right before bedtime. The other thing that I do want to end with is what you started with, Jodi, which is that, it's really unbelievable that something like that has to happen to call that kind of attention. But, her parents did create a foundation for that specific reason, for awareness for young people in relationships, not to be caught in that same kind of,
or to
setting,
have somebody somewhere to reach out to.
Right. Exactly. In conversation. So, yeah. But no, I'm good with it. I still had a good night with you. I'm looking over my shoulder now, though.
Okay.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.